Okay, boys, this is very exciting. It's a very exciting day because today is going to be the last time I am coming to you from the Great Iowa State Fair. It's also an exciting day because we are talking about probably the single biggest change in this entire diet, and that is a massive increase in carbohydrate content. And let me put a caveat on there, for some, okay? And that's one of the things that we need to talk about today. So, the goal here today is to be prepping for introducing fruit. So, my plan here is to just give a brief kind of flyover of some of the important topics here, and most of the stuff I'm saying here will need to have its own, like, more specific, deeper dive into these topics. So first one is kind of in our series of the hierarchy of human nutrition, to answer the question, hey, why is fruit the first carbohydrate form that we're adding into the diet? And similarly to how we started with why it was meat the first food, it's because, hey, it's the least problematic, right? Very few people have issues with fruit. Most people digest fruit pretty well, and so therefore that is, kind of like the cleanest, safe space for us to start when adding in carbohydrate, right? It's one of the things in nature that becomes very obvious. So as far as God created an apple tree, and that tree produces a sweet fruit, and it's like, hey, when that thing is not ready to be eaten, it doesn't taste as good. When it is ready to be eaten, boy, it's delicious, okay? So there's a lot of just real common sense sort of stuff, real book of nature sort of stuff that we can see, okay, this is intended to be eaten and enjoyed. And that turns out, it plays out in the same way when we actually study this stuff and look at it and understand what it is and how people react to it and all that kind of stuff, okay? So that's kind of a brief touch on that. I'm sure Alex can get into more of the nutrients and anti-nutrients and all that sort of stuff, and why fruit is kind of this carbohydrate starting point. So the next thing is we are shifting from a zero to very low carbohydrate diet to one that has the potential to be significantly higher, okay? And here's the caveat, and the really important thing I want to talk about, and really this kind of touches everybody who's learning how to eat, and whether your goal is to lose weight, maintain weight, gain weight, okay? How we treat our carbohydrates is very important, especially as we add a new category like fruit. So, for all of us, I'll start here. For all of us, we have been practicing how to, first principles here, how to eat enough meat, okay? How to eat the right amount of meat that you actually need, that gram per pound of goal weight, okay? We've got 3 weeks of reps doing that. That is not going to change, okay? After week one, so week one we had to do the higher fat meats to make sure that our macro ratios were good. But since then, since adding in the fatty fruits, we've kind of had access to leaner meats, been able to kind of supplement with fat. So that protein quantity is not changing. The thing that could potentially change is how much of that, supplemental energy that we're consuming should or could come from carbohydrate versus fat, okay? That's kind of the big question. So, for guys who are interested in losing weight, you want to be, have less body mass than you are walking around with right now. Carbohydrates are good, especially when we're exercising, and especially when we're exercising with intensity. But the two things I want you to keep in mind are your total carbohydrate count, so not needing to go overboard with that, as well as a little bit of timing and saying, hey, maybe I place those carbohydrates closer to that higher intensity activity, and then, my meals that are further away from that activity, maybe I don't change much as far as kind of what they have looked like over the past week. Your sources, right? So the types of fruit that you're eating. Basically berries, to just really generalize here, berries are going to be the lowest carbohydrate density fruit that you can be adding for you guys who are looking to lose weight. That's probably a safe space to stay. Probably you're not going to be consuming too many berries to really throw yourself off. Also probably not wanting to pay for too many berries to really throw yourself off. But that's, to kind of steer you in the right direction, that's probably a good place to start. Now, on the flip side, so everything I'm saying here for the guys who are trying to gain weight is also going to be said as a warning to the guys trying to lose weight, okay? So, for you guys trying to gain weight, you've got opportunity now, okay? It's gonna be a lot easier to get your calorie count up through, just think about this. How easy is it to just smash a banana, right? That's 20 to 30 carbs down the hatch, right? How easy is it to smash a bunch of dried fruit, okay? Raisins, dates, it goes down easy, okay? When you pull all the water out of a fruit, it becomes a lot easier just to smash a bunch of it. So, for you guys trying to gain weight, hey, you've got some opportunity to get the calorie count up this week. And on the flip side, for you guys who are trying to lose weight, there's some danger here, and we got to practice some new discipline. Okay, not just discipline of doing the hard thing and eating the meat and whatever, but some discipline and some self-control not to just go crazy with the amount of fruit, especially sugar, that you're consuming. So we still want to be high fat, moderate protein, low carb, and so you've already experienced what the kind of bottom threshold of that carbohydrate count looks like. Now, I would say for you guys who are trying to gain weight, and if you're trying to gain weight and super freaking active, yeah, maybe your carbs get above the amount of protein that you're eating. This is one of those things that I need a whiteboard to really spell this out for you. But in general, I would say most average human beings, even ones who are active and working out, will exclude maybe the professional athletes from this, but that gram per pound of goal weight is, our aim for protein. I would also say that is you can consider that like your upper limit for carbohydrate intake, and kind of that being the upper limit for some of you guys who are at a good weight, pretty active, or trying to gain weight, right? That's kind of like that upper threshold. For some of you guys who are trying to lose weight, keeping that lower, keeping protein higher. Again, we'll go through kind of specific numbers there, but just wanted to kind of stir your imagination a little bit for what this fruit week will hold, how we want to treat this. For everybody, this is probably the first real test of, hey, you have opportunity, greater enticement to overconsume. Don't do it, right? Enjoy the good, sweet fruits in the appropriate amount. So we'll get into those amounts more later, but for now, hey, let's enjoy some fruit.